Hello, welcome to Fusion Reaction for Sunday, March 1st, 2020. And today is Doctor Who Day. Okay, so they added a soundboard to the software, and it was here for the last one, but I forgot to use it. I just have to play that annoying noise. Anyway, it's. My apologies if nobody wanted to see that, but there you go. Today we are going to be looking at a number of things which are supposed to be up on my screen, but they are not because I don't know why not. It's live. Hey, there they are. So that's what we're talking about today. I have frankly put all this in my head today while walking to breakfast this morning because I feel I'm dangerously in a situation where I'm going to start overthinking these things, and I really don't want to do that. I want to kind of be doing this on a sort of live stream of consciousness kind of thing. So anyway, as I said, it's Doctor Who Day. And so this is kind of, we're in a transition period here. Doctor Who will not air on the BBC for a couple of hours at this point, so no one has seen it. All we have is the hype, and I wanted to get this done and recorded and broadcast live while we are still in the hype phase, so that you know where my mindset is going into this podcast, which we'll be recording tomorrow for distribution to our patrons Tuesday, and next Saturday for everyone else. I watched Ascension of the Cybermen last Sunday one time. That's my first watch through. I did not take notes, so it's a, it's the, hey, how did I enjoy this show? Watch. Normally I would watch it again on Monday. I did not. I have intentionally not watched it. I have tried to steer mostly clear of reaction to the episode, but not as much as I thought I would, because frankly, nothing important happened in the episode. Now, that's not to belittle it. It's just that, there's nothing deep to analyze in that first part, right? All of the hype, all of the build-up is for part two. This was purely stage setting. And so I haven't been quite as averse to seeing what other people think as I normally do. But that's where we are. We're coming into it. I will be watching that episode of Doctor Who for notes and for writing my synopsis right after I do this recording. And then a little bit later, I'll be watching the episode of Doctor Who. And because we're recording early on a Monday, for me, I'm going to have to watch it again for notes this evening, apparently. So that's not enough time to digest, but there we go. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the hype. And that's why I want to do it now. Chris Chibnall has come out and he's like, everything you know is going to be changed, and you're going to need a stiff drink, and you're going to have your mouth all dry, and it's going to be blue. And it's like, okay. First off, Chibnall has not demonstrated any sign that he has the capability of doing that, unless it's just a gross act of hatchet vandalism. I mean, sure, you would be shocked when a guy runs into your house and murders your family with an axe. But otherwise, Mr. Milquetoast isn't gonna do it. And so I guess that's what worries me the most. I don't think he has the skill to do a good job. So the only thing he can do is vandalism, and that worries me. But it worries me for another reason as well. Some of you may know of the Cartmel Master Plan. There are people who have, over the period of time, felt that Doctor Who has lost the mystery of its name, Doctor Who. And in a way, Moffat tried to resurrect a little of that with what's the Doctor's name? Who cares? Right? It is a mystery that I do not care about. It's like, his name is the Doctor. I don't need any more. If it turns out his name is Mephistopheles, and I think we've discussed this on the podcast before. It's like he either has a name we know, and it has some cultural context, like Lucifer, Mephistopheles, Heracles, something like that, in which case you're stupidly tying the mythology together. Merlin. Or his name is Jack, and we don't care. Or perhaps I should say Angus. His name is Angus. Remember that? Angus MacGyver? Who cares? His name's MacGyver. Anyway, we... So that's one. Moffat did it trivial and meaningless, is more hype than anything else. Cartmel was looking at doing the Cartmel Master Plan, which was, I've tried to avoid knowing as much about it as possible, because, again, somebody who was trying to do something ill-advised and to create a mystery that you cannot have. And this is the key to me. You cannot have a mystery about the Doctor. You've told it all, and the only way to make a new mystery is to say that was all a lie, which we've been hinted at for this season, which is an asinine, stupid, dumb fuck, pardon the language, idea. We would censor that if this were on the show. But and it never works. You can't take somebody who you know everything about in a character and then decide, as writers do from time to time, that you need to interject some secret mystery in the back. It's incredibly rare that they can do that well. In most cases, it's just it's a cancer that forms on their spleen. And in fact, if you've got any examples where they did that successfully, I'd love to hear it, because I can't think of any. None. Zero. It never works very well. And so what we're going into is a phase where Chibnall is claiming he's going to redo everything. He can't do it. And if he does do it, it's not going to be good. And I realize I'm going into this with an entirely negative attitude, and it's his fault. It's his fault for basically saying, I'm going to screw everything up, so watch my show. No. So that's where I'm going into it, and maybe it'll surprise the heck out of me, or maybe like last year, his finale will be so milquetoast, so boringly, dully awful, which is consistent with a lot of his writing, that it won't matter, or that we could just be able to forget it next year. Unfortunately, Chibnall will still be around. There you go. And I don't care about the timeless child or the timeless children. It just doesn't. It's just not a mystery I care about, and I don't need that. It's just like I don't need to know the Doctor's name. Don't care. It's about the Doctor. It's about what the Doctor does. That is a much longer rant about this than I had intended to, but there you go. So next up, the Sex Olympics. Yeah, clickbait title: The Year of the Sex Olympics, a 1968 Nigel Kneale. Incredibly prescient TV show on the BBC that Simon and I recorded this back in 2019, early in the year, maybe even earlier, maybe even the year before 2019, 2018. But it was released to our patrons in 2019 in April, I believe. And as an exclusive patron, and this is what I want to address. I mean, we do put out podcasts periodically for our patrons, and we greatly appreciate our patrons. There are not a huge number of them. That is not a hint, please. That is just, it's a fact. And so, kind of like in the Sex Olympics, we do this for the purpose of stimulating conversation. And if we limit it to our patrons, exclusively, would have edited that out in the podcast too, let me tell you. Derailed. Oh, if we limit them, we put them out for the patrons because they're special and they help us and they keep the show afloat. But at the same time, if those discussions don't get out there, particularly with a show like the Sex Olympics, and this is why this one has come out now, just an absolutely incredible show. And I just re-listened to the podcast, which I had not listened to since April of last year. And it's such a good discussion. It raises so many issues about television and art and reality TV that I really recommend that if you don't listen to every podcast of our show, tune in on that one. Find Year of the Sex Olympics. I just found out that they're going to reissue it. The British Film Institute, the BFI, is going to reissue it in Britain soon on DVD. Unfortunately, that's still Region 2. I'm not aware of any Region 1. I could not find it on YouTube, but I can tell you there are places to find it if you have to find it. It's just it's absolutely well worth it, and try to look at that through the eyes of being in 1968. So we had a gap week here. I thought this is the time to put it out there because, you know, we want to stimulate that conversation. We want to stimulate the discussion. So what is next? So we're going to Doctor Who will be, as I said, next Saturday will be the last episode of Doctor Who for this series this year, depending on what the holiday special is. We assume it's Christmas or New Year, but it could be Easter for all we know. It could be Halloween. It could be Arbor Day. I have no idea what the holiday special will be. Arbor Day would be totally appropriate for Chris Chibnall. Plant a tree. It's the trees that are revolting against mankind because they've been evil to them in the Amazon. Ooh, Chibbers, you can have that idea. I want to see you do that and botch it up grossly because it's got legs. Anyway, so after that, we are going back to... the first thing is the very first week out, I'm not going to drop right back into our regular stuff. We're going to do the BBC War of the Worlds production that came out in 2019. That was a special 3-parter that Simon and I took a look at shortly after it aired. And we're going to drop that in the feed first. Then we will be going back. We're going to finish off Moonbase 3. John and I are going to continue our discussions there. And after that, we will be handing that over to Star Cops, where John and I are going to be talking about that interesting genre mashup between police and science fiction. And we're not talking about Jerry Anderson's Space Precinct. Although, I do have those. So, it's always a threat. It's always a threat. In addition to Moonbase 3 and Star Cops, we'll be back to our Doomwatch and our Firefly episodes, and that's the immediate aftermath of Doctor Who. Videos, which are on this channel, I will be putting out the Big Finish box set number 2, story number 4, Living in Harmony, this week. It's written, it just hasn't been shot or edited, which, you know, that's the easy part. The writing's the hard part. And so just last week, we put out the last one, which was Hammer into Anvil. Hey, I remember. So check those out if you are a Prisoner fan and you're interested in what my take is on Big Finish's take on The Prisoner. I will also be doing box set number 3. I've already got it. I just haven't listened to it yet because I wanted to get these out of the way before I get my ideas contaminated with however it pans out in the end. But I'm putting this question to you. What do you want to see me do for these review videos, these short 5 to 10 minute review videos of shows that we're not going to get to on the podcast? Do you want me to stick to TV shows? Do you want me to stick to movies, audio adventures? Anything in particular you'd like me to take a look at? There's no guarantees that I can get to it or that I can do it, but I would love to hear some ideas, you know, something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue. Let me know. So, also, again, in that vein of not thinking these things very through because I don't want to overthink them. An idea hit me the other day, and I can't remember what brought it to my mind, about rating shows when we review them. We don't give them a rating. Some podcasts will give them a thumbs up, thumbs down. Some podcasts will give them a score out of 10, score out of 5, or whatever. We don't do that. We've never done that. I'm kind of opposed to it, and it was And then, while I was walking to breakfast this morning, which, if anybody's interested, was a hamburger. Actually, it was a bacon cheeseburger, grilled onions. This is very good. Which is why I needed to edit that out earlier, probably. Um, I was listening to the Big Finish podcast. Nick and Benji were yammering on about. I love them, but man, do they yammer on like me. So why should I complain about reviews? And they were talking about the fact that when you read reviews, and I've always thought this, and it rang home so much. It's like, oh, you can see a review, and they said, well, we reluctantly give it 5 stars out of 5. It's like, why are you reluctantly giving it 5 stars out of 5? Did you like it or did you not? I said, well, I think this is like very poor, and it just is not great. Let's give it 7 out of 10. Yeah. And there's another podcast, they do Doctor Who stuff. I won't pick on them because I'm kind of making fun of them. Is that they rate the episodes out of 10, and there's so many episodes of Doctor Who, they've painted themselves into a corner. You watch an episode and you're like, oh, that one's pretty good, I'll give it an 8. It's like, yes, but you gave this other one that you thought wasn't that great an 8, so you have to give it a 9, but you don't think it's that good. And so they've just kind of, the ratings mean nothing, and that's why I don't do it. I mean, I cannot. I had a fight with somebody on the internet once. I know, yeah, right. I had a fight with somebody on the internet once about the fact that if you take an Uber, you have to give the driver 5 stars if he did a good job. It's like, no, he did a good job. That's my expectations. He gets 3. He has to do maybe 4, but he has to do a fantastic job to get a 5. Oh no! If you don't give him a 5, he doesn't get good tips, and then he won't get picked, and you're ruining his career. It's like, well, then the system's broken. And I feel that way about rating shows. Probably on this channel. It might be my personal YouTube channel, but I think it was on this channel. Stop banging the table, man. You're making the screen jump. We did a bubble sort test where my daughter went through and tried to figure out which episode was better than which in Doctor Who by using a incredibly inefficient sorting algorithm. It was not an exercise in computer science. It was an exercise in tedium. And, to rate her episodes. And her rating is not like mine. And but it's an interesting process to actually sit and try to, compare Day of the Doctor to Inferno. Like, well, which one do you like better? Inferno, I think. Maybe. I don't know. Kind of a rough one, but it's easy when you say, which one do you like better, Day of the Doctor or the Sunmakers? Got it. But what about the Sunmakers versus the Time Monster? It's a tricky one. Anyway, this has been a long episode. We didn't do one last week because I didn't have anything to say, and so I didn't do one. This week I had nothing to say, and it was a long one. Shocking, isn't it? Anyway, I laugh too much. I laugh too much in the podcast, and I know that. When I edit it, I'm like, oh, God, stop laughing, guy. Jeez. But I'm having fun. Anyway, we'll talk to you probably next week. I still haven't decided on 1 or 2 week intervals for these things, but we'll see. Anyway, until next time, and let's all hope we're having a great episode of Doctor Who today, and we're going to really enjoy it, and Chibnall hasn't screwed stuff up, and I know that's not going to happen. I hate going into a show I truly, genuinely love it, and think that I'm about to watch a train wreck combined with a plane crash, combined with an Ebola coronavirus breakout all in one place. But there you go. Talk to you next time.